I tell you to take Broadway. This always happens.
Hello, entrepreneurs, designers, digital nomads, and business gurus. Welcome to Circle Live, our internet talk show just for Squarespace Circle members. I'm Sam Z, one of your community managers. Sarah G, my co-host, is off this month. And we have our colleague, Taylor Legoy, managing conversation and chat today. Last month, we were joined by Sam Crawford to talk about the State of the Web Design Industry report. It's a great conversation. You should check it out. This month, we'll be talking about Squarespace's big game ad, which we just played for you. We actually just played you the extended version. If you were watching the big game a few weeks ago, you saw the abridged version. But no matter what version you saw, as a Circle member, I'm sure you appreciate that a lot of work goes into putting something like this together, especially creative work, which is what many of you are involved in. That's why today we're going to be talking to the writer and the art director behind this magnificent ad. We're calling it a creative huddle. That's our little creative contribution to things. Before we bring in the team, though, I want to give you a chance to be a little creative yourself. You've seen the ad, you know the concept, and as a Circle member, you've designed many, many websites. In the chat right now, I want to know from you, if Cosmic Visitors contacted you and asked you to design a website, what would your tagline be? Get creative. Don't think about it too hard. Ours was hello down there, for example, but yours has to be something different because that's already taken. While we go on this next little ad break, you can tell us your answers in the chat. Again, if Cosmic Visitors were to hire you to design a website for them to try and get in touch with the human race, what would your tagline be? It can't be hello down there. That's ours. Excited to read all of these. As always, today's Circle Live is brought to you by the Circle Referral Payment Benefit. With eligibility expansion to Rhode Island, Iowa, Nevada, and Kentucky, even more Circle members are able to earn. You can earn $200 for referring a new annual commerce website or $300 for a new annual Digital Product Pro plan. You can also earn by referring new annual Acuity scheduling subscriptions and new annual email campaign subscriptions. Fans of the CRPB say it is one of the easiest partner programs to sign up for. You can start earning commissions by talking to your clients about the Squarespace products that can help grow their business. To sign up for the Circle Referral Benefit Payment right now and start working towards the 4 subscription unlock threshold, visit support.squarespace.com and search Circle Referral. We got one here already. The tagline would be far out, Tabitha is saying. I love that, far out, because there's so much galaxy and there's so much to travel. We got a couple more coming in here. We got, hey besties, take us cheerleaders. I love that these aliens want to be besties with us already. And one more here from Jennifer, I'll share, open the center. You've got a little more time though, so go ahead and get creative and add those to the chat as the conversation goes on. Also, I will say that you should hold on to your answers as well, because you're going to need them for the first official Circle Live raffle. Taylor is going to share a link to the form in the chat right now to enter the raffle. You can fill that out anytime during the conversation for your chance to win one of 2 Cosmic merch boxes featuring a hoodie, the beanie that I'm wearing right now, and a tote and some other fun stuff involved. So this is one of the boxes you can win by entering that raffle. It's free to enter, 1 entry per person, and you can complete that form at any point during the show. I will announce the winners at the end. But for now, let me introduce our 2 guests for today. The creative team behind the ad, starting with Gina Kim, art director for Hello Down There. Gina, welcome to Circle Live.
Hi. Thank you for having me. Very excited to chat through all of this today.
So great to have you here today. Also, let me introduce Niamh Grunfeld, Senior Creative Director for Hello Down There. Niamh, welcome to Circle Live.
Hello.
Um, I may have said director. I meant writer, senior copywriter at Squarespace. I will correct myself. Unfortunately, producer Rebecca Patrick had to cancel last minute, but it's great to have the two of you here with us today, representing all the work that went into this magnificent creative undertaking that we call Hello Down There. And I really mean that. I mean, a commercial goes by so quick, but my goal today is to show some of the work that goes into everything that you see in that short amount of time, because there's a lot. Let's start 6 months before the big game. You don't know what celebrity you're going to be working with. You don't know the concept. You don't know the team that you're going to be working necessarily. Niamh, you mentioned that before you start, the first thing that happens is everybody generates a lot of lists. What kind of lists are we talking about?
Yeah, so we all pair off. There's quite a few teams working on it in our offices, and generally we just start with what's trending, what's topical, what are people into this year, and just kind of checking out our surroundings and seeing what celebrities are big and why they're big. I think it's more important to really consider the zeitgeist of the celebrity and how come people are into them at the time and what fits with the Squarespace product, and then also just creatively what you're seeing in different media, and then kind of from there we start to generate the ideas.
And so these lists, they're separate lists of just what's in the zeitgeist. Then there's another list of what celebrities do we want to work with. What other kind of lists are we talking about?
Generally we will, once we have an idea, we'll then make the director's list. We'll make lists for the different scenes. So, it really depends on the stage of the process we're in. Kind of the trends and all of that are just a jumping off point, but there's a million other lists once we get into production as well, with what coloring house we're going to use, what sound design we're going to use. And it's we have a few partners we like to work with in general, but really it's about who's best for the project once we know what the idea is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of ideas, Gina, let's go over to you. Do you remember when the idea of aliens started to emerge?
So last year when we were started working on all of this, that was when the Parliament hearings with the UFOs and stuff started catching up on the news. And I feel like there was a lot of alien talk on a lot of social media channels. Not that there ever isn't. I feel like people are always talking about it, but especially so last year, I feel like it was very much a topic of discussion. And um, it was actually one of those ideas where we didn't think it was gonna make it. We thought that we kind of just like threw it in there as just kind of like a fun one, that fun and dumb idea that is probably not going to make it, and we'll probably just laugh about it during our pitch, and we probably go with something a little bit different. But I don't know. I guess that one did stick. It's the most interesting one that we had, and it's definitely really paid off. Going with aliens, it's become a very much of a topical thing again with Super Bowl. We saw a couple of other alien ideas throughout the Super Bowl too. So it's definitely it was top of mind, and it felt like an easy and smart topic to cover for our ad.
And art director wise, a lot of visual options, right? There's the saucers, there's the different types of aliens. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go with that, right?
Right. I think a big discussion that we definitely had was what sort of alien do we want to have? Do we want to have like the ones from like the 50s and 60s with the flying saucers, or are we going to go a little bit more modern with like the kinds from like Arrival? And so once we did end up going with Martin, I think him coming from having been living through all of that stuff from like the 50s and 60s himself, he really wanted to tap into more of the classic retro aesthetic, which I think was fun and is much more of a quicker get for people that are seeing the ad.
Yeah, did you have a lot of fun going through some of that stock footage that gets shown in the commercial?
Yeah, it's definitely Martin came right off the bat with a really great reference. It was a Japanese space movie from back in like the 50s, which we almost, I think, we weren't able to show because we couldn't find the person to get the clearance from for that because it was so long ago. But luckily we did. But yeah, like it was a lot of fun finding references for all the it's rich. People have been making movies about aliens and content about them for years and years. So there's a lot out there. It was a really rich world to explore.
So rich, and as I said, I'm just a huge fan of the resulting story. One of the things I thought was interesting, Niamh, that you were saying is that even before the visual stuff comes together, once you have the idea, that you put together a joke script. What's a joke script?
Well, in this case, it was just that because you're presenting multiple ideas in the first round, and you go through many rounds writing lots of scripts for the aliens. Yeah, we kind of wrote it up as a joke, just a haha, like Gina was saying, we'll laugh about this and we'll move on. And I think the earliest iteration of aliens we had was actually someone trying to get a signal from them, and then them actually a podcast joke hearing brought to you by Squarespace but from the aliens. And that was the start of the idea, just a very like silly little joke. We didn't think it was going to become a big thing, and then the team was loving this idea of aliens making a website and using Squarespace to get noticed. And so from there we started to explore a bunch of different scripts, a bunch of different storylines of, oh, is it taking place at the congressional hearing and the aliens show up? Is it up in the spaceship? Is it people's reaction? And so we explore a bunch of different storylines until we get to the one we feel communicates it best, but is also the most interesting to explore.
Right on. And at this point, you don't even know that Mr. Scorsese is involved.
No, that did not happen until later. We actually we had a few celebrities written into the script. Sometimes you have an idea that is really dependent on a certain celebrity. Like a couple years ago, we did something with Winona visiting her hometown of Winona, and so obviously you need Winona for that. Some scripts you can kind of open it up to a few, and to one of our lists, we'll list celebrities that match the idea, kind of a few in the same realm that work with it, and they have to be approached at the same time and figure out who our lead is and then who we'd want to follow up with. With this one, it was very different because the celebrity was the director. And at first we didn't even know that he would want to be in it. We approached him as a director the way we usually approach directors, and he was interested, to all of our surprise. And then he was actually interested in doing the cameo, and that's how he ended up in the end of the spot.
It's such a cool story, seeing him as a young kid and then sort of at the end there. Both of you, usually with the 10 years of Squarespace big game ads, and it has been 10 years, which is kind of incredible to see. Usually, as you mentioned, it's an actor, some kind of known face. But in this case, it's a real creative. And it's a person who, has been working a long, storied career, working with various art directors and writers in their life. What was it like getting to work with someone with that experience and certainly that cultural cachet?
I mean, I think it was definitely, we've worked with some amazing directors, and some are very well known specifically in the advertising world. But then, of course, he is larger than any of that. And so it was really amazing to see his process, him coming back to us with his storyboards, because you share the scripts and then a director will share the storyboards with you of what they're imagining. And also, I would say a huge part of it was the team that he brought along. I think we had like the set designer from Mad Men and some other crazy shows, and it's just people he's been working with so long, and so that elevates everything. Like the director is one thing, but the director chooses, who to bring onto a project. And so it was really incredible to just see these people he has these amazing relationships with, and so much trust to create his vision. And even though, sure, the long version is 90 seconds, the amount of scenes in there that we had to build, some on set and some out in the world and some through CGI, all of that has to be imagined. And he had something in mind for each of them.
Gina, what was it like putting together the visual story with his team? Did the storyboards come back and you were like completely surprised, or what was all that like?
Yeah, so his team put together the storyboards for it. Obviously, we had a rough script of a story that we wanted to follow, and they had an artist that boarded it all out for us. And honestly, maybe because they're like the best of the best and they're from Hollywood, we didn't really have many notes. They got it all spot on, like within like the first round. So it was very smooth, and it was very easy process in terms of being like able to we trusted them a lot, I guess is what it was. It's, they're professionals. They're the most like high caliber like creatives I've ever worked with. I'm still only like just a couple of years into my career. So yeah, I think if anything, like I was learning a lot from them in this process. And it obviously it was very collaborative. We were able to give our input when it was necessary, but they were getting things like done like right off the bat. Like it was very easy working with them.
So exciting. It's good when things are easy, right? Creativity isn't always a walk in the park, but it's good when you're working with other high caliber professionals. Speaking of working together, being collaborative, I do want to show this other video, a little behind the scenes take that was released on our YouTube page. This is something, Circle members, if you haven't seen this yet, I feel like you are going to connect right to it. Let's play this video right now.
Hey, Dad. What are you doing?
Hey, hi. I'm trying to make another film, a short film, a really, really short one, like 30 seconds. I mean, 30-second film is much harder because each scene is like a second, maybe. The main character happens to be a website. Now, the thing is, I don't really know what a website is or what it thinks about, what it cares about, if it cares about anything at all. I don't know if it thinks at all. I need to sort of get inside the sense of what a website is. It's almost as I have to create one.
So design it.
Now?
Yeah, here, on your computer.
Just to come over and do it?
Yeah, let's make it. What is it about?
An intergalactic plea for connection.
So like Martians.
Well, no, it shouldn't be Martians, because if they're Martians and they come from Mars, they're right here. I'm talking about intergalactic, like another galaxy.
Like extraterrestrials, just in general.
Yeah, extraterrestrials, maybe for like 100 years or so, they've been trying to contact us or connect with us in some way. They've been doing like snowstorms in the Sahara, then mad rhinos running down Wall Street. All these, little overtures, and at any point, they've been trying to connect with us. If they're doing that sort of thing, they could have touched down in Times Square, right in the middle of Times Square, and just come right out and did it. But they're not. And I think what it is that they're waiting. They're waiting to be discovered.
Okay. Well, I mean, what do you think they want?
To not feel that they're alone.
So, like, they want a friend?
They want us to be friends, and they got a real problem. They come down here for us to be friends? No, I think maybe other people, but not us.
Okay. All right, okay, well, okay, the first thing you need is a domain.
A domain, right away, stop right there, because that's, in my mind, medieval. I think medieval things, domain. King Ethelred the Unready, he had a domain. It was in England.
Right, no, but it's like the URL, like a link.
A what?
A URL. It's a link. It brings you to the website.
How do you get a link? Seriously.
Well,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. You create one. Do you have a name idea for this?
A name. An outstretched hand across the cosmos?
And a little smaller.
Okay, hands across the universe. No, maybe they don't have hands.
What do they have?
I don't know what they have. Who knows what they have? I'm just saying whatever. Yeah. How about we're like looking up at them, we say, hello up there, hello.
But what if it's from them?
Well, it could be from
looking
their point of view, which means hello
down
there.
Yeah.
That's it. Now you got it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so that'll work. That's a good headline too. Do you like any of these fonts?
This one's too old-fashioned.
Okay.
This one, it's nice, but that's too pretty in a way. This one is too loud.
Right.
I mean, it just like bursts right in the conversation. This one is like Upper East Side, right? They moved to New Yorker and all that, you know? Wait, go back. No, make that bolder. Too much. Too little. Oh, it's not bad. I mean, it's a greeting, and it's like a plea, a yearning.
Yeah.
We're not careful, we can humanize them, which will really ruin everything. I'm starting to get it now. I didn't know a website. I didn't really know a website could do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically not real if it's not on the internet.
This website slaps, kid, doesn't it?
Oh my God.
Is that slapping or what? Huh?
No, I
All right, guys, let's get going. We sold
really
it.
regret
Come
ever
on,
teaching you
let's
that.
go. Okay, look lively, everybody. I'm going the wrong way.
And his daughter Francesca building the Hello Down There website. I love that video. I think that is just so relatable. We've even got Sarah in the chat saying it feels like her husband and her. So we know that Circle members experience this all the time. I do want to give a really quick reminder to folks. The raffle is still open. That link is in the chat. So people have been adding their taglines to the chat, but definitely go and enter that raffle for this Hello Down There box to get involved. Gina and Niamh, I want to return to the site Hello Down There. By the way, hellodownthere.com is an actual site, and you can visit it. If you haven't visited it, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun. Circle members, you'll recognize, certain hallmarks of Squarespace design: scrolling text, accordion blocks for the FAQs. You can use an accumulating schedules page to visit the spacecraft if you want. A store to buy merch. You can take a course to learn more about the aliens. Really, everything is there. And it's such a fun way to showcase the product, and it looks like it was a lot of fun to make. Let's start with the voice of the aliens, though. Niamh, that's something I know that you worked on. How did you develop the voice of the aliens after coming through with this idea to create a site about them?
Yeah, I mean, as Gina mentioned, visually, there's lots of ways you can go with aliens based on references already out there. And I would say tone-wise, it's very similar. You have your scary aliens, you have your funny aliens, you have E.T., who is heartwarming. And so we originally started with aliens that were a little more threatening. And we decided that we didn't want our aliens to be scary. We wanted them to be friendly. And as we were exploring this friendliness, we kind of ended up in this place of desperation that they wanted so bad to get to know us and so bad for us to notice them. And that really went with the product story of, Squarespace being a way to get noticed. And we just leaned into that, and that they've been trying for so long. And we reference a lot of the sightings that are historically marked. There's now a government page of UFO sightings and other moments that created this craze around aliens and still don't get enough attention for them. And so we thought, after all this time, they must be so desperate. They must really want to talk to us. And I mean, we kind of looked at some fun aliens out there, like we were talking about in The Simpsons. You have the two aliens that appear in the horror episodes. And we just thought, those two that the humans are a bit more idiots. We didn't want to do that, but just this kind of like simplification of them reaching out and how that could just be such an endearing story rather than a scary invasion.
Definitely. Gina, anything to add as far as the fun that you got to play with these alien characters and how you maybe tried to make them a little friendlier, play into that desperation that Niamh is talking about?
Yeah, I think so when we were initially trying to figure out how we wanted these aliens to look, it was a lot of references from movies and shows in the past, but then also Midjourney actually came in clutch in us trying to explore just to give it a little bit more of a twist of our own, like what these aliens could look like. Obviously, that was just used as like a jumping point, and then we were able to create sort of an alien brief for the VFX studio that we worked with for them to, make it more custom for our actual spot on our site. But yeah, we've explored a lot of different sorts of terrains and worlds that these aliens could live in. I think we still wanted to make sure that the aesthetic of these aliens felt aligned to our Squarespace brand. And so just to make sure that they do feel a little bit elevated, that we're not leaning too much into the more of a funny or cutesy type of alien. And so there was a balance, I guess, that we wanted to strike with all of this, making it approachable and friendly, but still elevated and consistent with our brand.
For sure. Elevated aliens. Say a little bit more about the elevation. Was it you wanted a certain kind of saucer? Or specifically on the website? I mean, what's clear about this and what I love about it is that these aliens are so elevated that they can design their own Squarespace website.
Right, and they already have a really nice sense of style. So they've definitely took a lot of cues from just like popular culture right now. Like, for example, if you look at our bodily coverings page, I think the way that we framed our merch and even that like header image of the alien amongst like a weird otherworldly terrain, like definitely like very much streetwear inspired, was pulling a lot of references from like something that you might see on like Essence for that. When it came to stuff like our courses page, we have like those, like we have like a talking head alien with like these simple graphics that we made. And I think it was just making sure that we had enough information that we were giving about these information, but not too much about the aliens, but not too much. We wanted to still keep things pretty minimal. And I think that really played into the UX of our site overall. I think it's a pretty easy to navigate site. It's easy on the eyes. It's really pretty. And I think that's kind of what a lot of our Squarespace sites do, where it's both functional and pretty. And I think we wanted to make sure that that was consistent within this template and our microsite.
Definitely. It is a beautiful site and certainly very functional. And I just congratulate both of you on the entire world that you were able to create around all of this. I just think it's just so fun to play in. We're going to have to take a quick ad break, but audience, we will be back with Gina and Niamh for a question and answer session at the end of this episode. So please, audience, get your questions about creativity, about the ad, about writing copy for a website, about art directing a website. Get your questions into the chat now, and we will be back with you soon with Gina and Niamh. Twice a year, we provide our Circle members with an exclusive look at what's coming soon to Squarespace to help you and your clients stay one step ahead. Our spring edition of the biannual product preview, This is Squarespace, is now available to view online. Visit the site to watch product experts share the major new features and enhancements you can expect to see in the next 6 months. This is Squarespace includes 3 videos dedicated to Circle benefits, design tools, and e-commerce features across websites, Acuity scheduling, email campaigns, and more. You can view the previews and a full list of updates by visiting thisis.squarespace.com and using the password CIRCLE with a capital C. And thanks for being a Circle member. Okay, we are back with Niamh and Gina. Going to go ahead and start with this question from the audience. We got Lauren asking, how many people do you have in your creative team when you are brainstorming a new ad campaign, and what are their roles? From what I remember in talking to you both about this, it's a lot of people to start with, and then it gets smaller over time.
Yeah, so every team consists of an art director, Gina, and a copywriter, me, and there are other art director, copywriter teams here at Squarespace, and there are, I think, about 3 teams in the New York office and a couple in the LA office. And when it comes to a brief of this size, everyone starts generating ideas. You know, we want them to come from all the teams, and those then get presented to our creative directors in the LA office and in the New York office, who start to dwindle down. But each team, every check-in is generating almost like 6 campaigns, not as fully fleshed out as the point you see it here at the end, but the ideas for them. And we go through this for several rounds, with each team coming up with like 5 to 10 ideas, chipping through them, choosing which ones should keep working on for the next round. And then eventually we pick one from each team that goes to our chief creative officer, who then chooses which ones will go to Anthony, our founder, for a final decision. So there's a lot of rounds, and then slowly we get to a main idea from each team, and then usually 2 leading campaigns, one that is the preferred and then one that is a backup in case anything doesn't work out. But this is specific to the Super Bowl. It works a little bit different with some of our other campaigns.
For sure. Were there any ideas in the initial stage? You mentioned, Niamh, already that there were some ideas that you might have expected would make it to the front before the aliens idea. Anything that got left on the cutting room floor that you want to share?
I mean, if you saw last year's campaign, the Singularity, that was not me and Gina, but a few teams had things that built off of that idea of, what's kind of the next phase of it. Or we had some fun, obviously, AI ideas, like other trends that are out there right now that are relevant to the creative process, and other celebrities as well. And it just ended up that, yeah, the alien one landed in this culturally relevant, product relevant, and fun category.
Definitely. Got another question here from Angelo. How do you find research inspiration for website design and copy? You both mentioned that there were a lot of different cultural cues that you took to start with. Anything to add there about how you get that inspiration?
Yeah, I actually have like a little bit, I have a folder that I always keep of a bunch of just like resources for website design that I usually like to refer to. And these sites usually have just, they aggregate a bunch of like the best of the best that we've seen on the internet. But essentially for something like this one where, like we could have taken the alien site in a couple of different directions. It could have been more, I don't know, more like NASA-like, with a lot more like sciencey stuff, or like maybe could have leaned a little bit more into the extraterrestrial in terms of like maybe there's like alien languages going on, there's more symbols and stuff like that. Like I think it could have gone in a couple of different directions, but I have like a ongoing list of like resources, like Admire the Web is like a good one that I've looked to. There's one that's just called I believe it's just called Site Inspire. I like to look at Site Inspire a lot. And then Hover States is also a good one too that I like. But it's just kind of having this ongoing library, I guess, that I like to refer to back and over again for website inspiration when it comes to the design.
Yeah, and for writing, honestly, I watch a lot of shows. I watch like every show out there, even if I don't personally find it that interesting. It's I think a lot more, like you said, cultural cues rather than we're rarely looking at other ads. You don't want to do something that another brand has done, but whatever shows are popular, people ask me if I'm a big reader, and I'm honestly not, um, because it really comes from this mix of like editing and visual language as well. So even though I'm not a visual person, I don't think I think visually, just constantly taking in different types of media. Then when I'm coming up with idea, kind of like Gina saying, I have like that bank in my brain of different tones and different paces and different just storylines and how you can explore them in tons of different ways. So like I said, The Simpsons, obviously huge cultural icon. But if you're just constantly taking in this stuff, and luckily I have a job where I can say I get to watch TV, but that's the most research I do.
For sure. David Lee said something in the closing session of Circle Day last year that was just like, I'm gonna butcher it, but it was something like, if you're gonna be a cultural person, you need a lot of cultural stuff to pull from. So just go out and take stuff in, take creative stuff in, enjoy yourself with the culture that's surrounding us. I'm going to go to this question from Emily. As a copywriter, Niamh, how do you approach your early drafting of scripts for ads like this? Do you work in a group or put your head down and work alone? Do you chat with the other team members first, including cross-functional, or try to do it from copywriting first? Well, we know that you start with The Simpsons.
I always start with The Simpsons, yes. No, I would say I am a heads down person first. It is a very collaborative job. Gina and I often work together. We're not always on projects together, but we kind of do our own thing first, do a little brainstorming on our own. I literally start in a notebook and do like a brain dump, just like everything that comes to mind. I don't Not in terms of trying to write a script, but just like every thought that possibly pops up in my head, I'll circle a few, I'll even doodle and just see what comes out. And then from there, I'll take those and try to express them as a one-liner. What is this idea? If you read my notebook, it wouldn't make any sense. And I try to make them make a little sense. And then I share with Gina, who has her own process and ideas, and we pick out what we're kind of liking in terms of the idea, like what is this about, and then that's when I, as a copywriter, will start to write it out as a script. So there's lots of thinking before a script, and then when it comes to the script itself, again, I go heads down and I try it a few different ways. I'm like, what if it was, like I was saying for this one, what if it was in the congressional hearing? What if it was up in space? And I just play around with it while Gina is also pulling those visual references, writing out some scenes. Like sometimes I might have a little voiceover, but I don't quite know what the scene is. And Gina will literally come in and be like, oh, the scene could be this. We generate a few scenes for things. And then eventually we just kind of dwindle it down to like, here's the story. And then of course we have feedback from our creative directors. And then once a director gets involved, they also might make some changes. But in the first part, we try to have a sense of a few different directions before we write it out as a script.
Good to have a few options. This is our last question, ending on a really fun note. Not that the rest of this hasn't been totally fun to talk to you about, but Sarah's asking, thank you. What was your favorite personal favorite moment in the process of creating this ad? Gina, why don't we start with you? What was your favorite moment?
Oh gosh. I think this is probably like the biggest project I've had to date. Like I mentioned earlier, I've actually been at Squarespace since I was an intern, and so getting to work on a Super Bowl project, and with Niamh with that too, who I got to work with very much early on at Squarespace. It's kind of just really come full circle for me. Like I've always said, my ultimate goal was to work on a Super Bowl project here at Squarespace. I fell in love with Squarespace because of a Super Bowl ad years ago. The John Malkovich spot was one that really stood out to me, and I've loved always. And so, getting to just work on this project overall, and then to get a director and a star like Martin Scorsese, like I never in a million years would have been able to imagine being able to work on a project with him. So, I know it's kind of boring, but the whole thing, I loved working on the whole Super Bowl ad.
Thinking big picture, that makes a lot of sense. Niamh, how about you? What was your favorite moment?
I mean, I think when it comes to the fact that, yeah, throughout this, once we lock down the idea, I mean, we're working on something about aliens, and our conversations, our very serious work conversations, are about aliens. Like I said, I had to go onto the government UFO sightings and pull from that. And we had arguments about details of the aliens. And while you're hitting your head against the wall, you're like, we're talking about like aliens that we're creating, and it's a lot of fun. And I would say an outcome of that was enjoyable to see was that it actually got picked up on a UFO Reddit subreddit for UFO people who take it very seriously, and were very excited to see what they felt reflected their beliefs, which was honestly not the intention going in. Like we said, it was just about a cultural conversation. But there was a comment that they were glad to see we weren't making fun of it, and that it was what they felt a good representation of aliens, and that felt good to feel that the UFO community felt seen, and that was just kind of a funny, unexpected outcome from it.
Awesome. That's so great. Well, if aliens do come to Earth and need a Squarespace website, I hope they will talk to some of the Circle members to help them put it together. But very much so, they will be inspired by this great work that you've done in creating this Hello Down There ad. We are at the end of our time together. This is the end of the Creative Huddle. I think we now have to play a sport of some kind. I don't know what. We haven't played anything yet. We'll talk about it. But Gina Kim, I want to thank you for your art direction today, just in general, but also for joining us today on Circle Live.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
So delightful. And Niamh, thank you for joining us on Circle Live, and also for the writing that you did behind this great ad.
Thanks for the opportunity to talk about it.
I will see you both around the office. I also want to mention before I go that perhaps you've seen you can now subscribe to the audio version of Circle Live. Just visit circlelive.buzzsprout.com to listen right there on the page, or you can check out the RSS feed on that page and subscribe on your favorite podcast listener. Sarah G will return as co-host next Circle Live, but until next Circle Live, this is Sam Z reminding you that every website tells a story. So long, everybody.